Are we recording?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hey guys. We're finally getting around to recording a podcast. It's not that we didn't know what to do. It's just sometimes it's hard to get started, and that's kind of what we were going to talk about today anyway, but we also wanted to introduce ourselves and explain why we're even starting a podcast and what we're trying to do and stuff. But if you don't know us, my name's Adrienne.
My name is Annette.
And we are sisters.
Not twins.
We're not twins. We get that a lot.
Which
we're
is
gonna
one of the
do
questions, yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna do a Q&A too to kind of just answer questions that people had. And a lot of the questions were about our relationship as sisters and if we're twins, or if we get asked a lot if we're twins and stuff. So we'll answer those.
We might as well be twins. We are that close, and it wasn't always like that, but here we are starting a podcast. So thank you guys for being here too.
Even if you're just curious to see what we're gonna talk about, it's just
even
cool.
if you had no idea what this is about, but you're here, that's awesome. Thank you.
Honestly, we don't really know what it's about. Nah, but
figuring it out.
I think our intention with this, I've always wanted to kind of have a podcast to be able to go in more depth with a lot of the things that I already talk about as a health coach, because that's what I do. I went to school for nutrition, and then I started working in public health, and I started just working more one-on-one with people as a health coach, and I really enjoy that. And I get to meet with people every week and kind of talk about specific topics to help them with their health goals. And I think something like this has always been something that I wanted to do, to just dive more into depth with it and just have these conversations about not just the science of nutrition and health and exercise, but a lot of other things that play a role in our health, like your relationship with food or your mental health, your stress management, your self-care. A lot of that really makes a big deal, or makes a big difference when you're trying to have specific health related goals. So that's a lot of what I wanted to talk about too, but just more fun stuff too, with my sister, just things that we already have conversations about.
And thinking about those things that you want to talk about, those are the things that we probably weren't taught in school. So there's nobody
Definitely.
that's really putting this into our day-to-day lives except for her. So that's why this is so important too. We weren't taught this usually.
And it's not that we're complete experts on any of this, but again, it's just about having those conversations so you can just be able to grow off of those things. But I think too, having a community, I think my goal for this podcast is to also have a community of people that are like-minded and are wanting to have these conversations and apply these things and just really create that lifestyle that they want for themselves, versus some of the vicious cycles that we see, or the yo-yo dieting stuff that we see happening to a lot of people. I can tell that's really frustrating for a lot of my clients. So just helping them to make these changes in their daily lives, so that way they don't have to get into that cycle and they can just progress forward in their own way. So
yeah, and a lot of people are in a similar boat where they have never learned to manage their stress, manage their health and their eating habits or their exercise, because it's just been hard to start that. So starting is, the first step. And once you show up and you're putting in time and you're putting in your intention and making it for you, that's honestly the way to go. And that's how we stick to it, and that's how you can be consistent or try to be consistent. So it's all a learning experience for sure, and there will be mistakes, there will be bumps in the road, but we're acknowledging those as well, because that's just how it works for everybody. You're not alone at all.
Yeah, so just let us know what kind of things you guys want us to be talking about. Annette is going to school right now and working a lot with young kids, so even just early childhood and growth and development kind of stuff is a lot of the things that we like to talk about too.
Yeah, not only early childhood, but throughout adolescence. I'm only 19, going on 20 soon. If you guys,
by the time the podcast is out,
if you guys are listening to this, I will be 20 years old on the 15th. So wish me a happy birthday. Just kidding. And so I think that I'll go into, of course, things that relate to adolescence and growing up in your early 20s, because of course I'm fresh into that, and someone over here has already had that experience before me. So we like to talk about that together, just for myself personally, but I'm sure a lot of others listeners can relate to that as well.
Yeah. So again, like just whatever you guys want us to kind of be talking about, sharing our experience on, like just let us know. I think in the future, like I definitely, like these next few episodes, I want to talk a lot about like what I do with coaching and like the biggest things that I focus on with coaching, which is stress management, self-care, for a lot, and obviously nutrition and like the science behind that. But it's not really as simple as like calories in, calories out, especially if you are like just going under a lot of stress, like living in fight or flight. Like you've got to work on your stress management and get yourself out of that place if you want these adaptations to happen. But especially for like women, like something that I've been learning a lot more about recently has been cycle syncing, and how that has been really helpful for me and for a lot of people when it comes to their health goals and just like how they structure their lives and routines. So I'll definitely go more in depth about that stuff.
Yeah, and just to connect with that a little bit, like you were saying, to find some things that will help you be more sustainable in these kinds of lifestyle changes. It's at every point in your life. Well, never mind. I was just gonna relate it to like child growth and development, but not so much just in children, but in as you're an adult, to look back at your childhood and what that could cause for you, like what your past could how your past could affect your lifestyle right now, and what decisions you make right now and what's behind that. And so just paying attention to like how it all connects.
Yeah. And that's why I think coaching is so important, because like we're not all the same. We don't all have the same experiences. We don't all have the same bodies and respond to the same things. So like figuring that out can be frustrating on your own, and think having like a coach to help guide you through it and like support you is really, really helpful. But I think I kind of wanted to just like obviously talk a little bit about just like getting started, especially with like this podcast. It's been something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and like thankfully Annette like wanted to do it with me, because I think it's cool that like I get to do it with her, and like we get to have these conversations and
these conversations that we were already having.
Right.
So just in more collaborative, if anything.
Yeah. And like I said, like I wanted this to be like something that turns into like a community that supports each other too. For sure. But I think with just getting started, like even if it's a podcast, if it's going back to school, if it's a health related goal, like whatever it is, like you just have to get started. Like I think sometimes we get really caught up in it has to look like that end goal that we have right off the bat. And to get to that place, you have to go through some challenges. Like you have to figure out, you have to fail at some things. Like you almost need those things in your journey to help you to figure out what's going well, what's not going well, what your weaknesses are, and what you can improve upon. Because nobody's going to have a super linear line to get to point B. Like you have to have these experiences so that they can teach you something, because to get to where you want to be is probably a lot different from where you are now. And so you have to have a different life or do things differently to get there. So,
and by saying like we're saying just getting started, we're not minimizing that experience or that for you guys to just get started, but we want to embrace all of the things that go along with getting started, like those mistakes that we're afraid of, or those things that we're putting off for certain reasons. We're embracing those because what is meant to happen will happen.
True that.
So yeah.
Yeah. And then I think just recognize like how far you've come to, like even to get started is a really big jump, you know? So it may not be perfect. It may not be where you want it to be, but at least you're getting started and you're like carrying that momentum with you. So whatever your goals are, like health related, especially if they're health related, definitely, you know, like hit me up, like let's talk about it. I love talking about this kind of stuff and like what your experiences are, because sometimes it can help clients that I have right now or clients that I might have in the future. So okay, so let's answer some of the questions that you guys had. We did a poll on my coaching Instagram. If you don't follow me already, it's just at @CoachAdrian_.
And if you don't follow me, and if you don't follow me already, that is Annette Noriega A. So Annette Noriega with 2 A's. I'll change it probably. Just kidding.
No, you're good. So we had a lot of questions about like just getting to know us, like our relationship as sisters, just like random fun stuff and like obviously wellness related things. So we'll get through the questions and just kind of like, I guess first thing that comes to mind, not don't think about it too much. That's
Sure,
always
like,
my thing.
Yeah, go ahead and ask me some. I'll ask you some.
So people want to know, like, what are we discussing? I think we are kind of already just like talked about that. Like just a lot of, you know, health and wellness related topics and conversations that aren't so much about like nutrition and exercise and the things that we already know. Like, I think I want to talk more about just like other things that we don't realize are really impacting our overall like health and wellness that, you know, we just want a little bit more guidance on.
Yeah, and while we're mostly focusing on that aspect for sure, like the health, overall wellness of us and everything, I'm here to connect that basically to our development and our continuous growth into adulthood and how we never stop growing and have endless opportunities wherever we go. And not only just opportunities for growth, but like opportunities for relationships, opportunities for learning and other for teaching others, not just ourselves learning, but just to grow with others and build that community too. I guess I could have worded that better.
No, that's good. I like it.
Okay.
Quit second guessing yourself.
Okay.
So I kind of want to ask or answer the questions about like our relationship as sisters first.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them are like, are you guys twins? If yes, what's the hardest part about it?
The hardest part is that she can unlock my phone, but I can't unlock her phone.
But you used to.
It's on and off, I guess.
We are not twins.
Not twins. No, we're not. We're 5 years apart. I'm 19 going on 20, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
And
so
you're
I'm 24.
24. So
I'll be 25 in July.
Yeah. So we're not twins, but we do read each other's minds, finish each other's sentences. We
feel like the same things, honestly. Like, like if I feel like you already know what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling.
If you have a sibling, you might know like the look. Like you guys just know that so you'll react to something the same way. That happens with us like 24/7. We just know the same thing every single time.
Which is great.
We look at
like,
each other.
Yeah, it's really great. Like some of the other questions too, like have you always been close? I love y'all's relationship. What do you think? Have we always been close?
I was always trying to be close with my big sister. I don't know if my big sister liked me as much when I was a little rugrat or anything, but now, like, she had moved away for U of A for a couple of years, and then moved away to Phoenix for a couple more, and so that time apart was also while I was in high school and going on to graduate, so it was a time for me to learn about myself for sure and learn about how I don't need to be fighting with my sister over little stupid shit. It was definitely an awakening or something. So yeah, no, we weren't always close.
I think we got closer like after like this. I think we're definitely closer now than we've ever been. But I think when we were kids, like we were close just like as sisters would be. But I think like definitely sometimes like your little sister just annoys you and you just don't want her around, especially when you were like, you know, when I was a younger girl and you were just like a little kid trying to hang out with me.
Oh yeah, the times were different. And then we also went through a pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of you also know about.
Have you heard of it?
This thing called coronavirus. And for a while we were apart, and then she came back home. So right before the pandemic, actually, she was living in Phoenix, or no, it wasn't Phoenix, it was in Tucson. And then she moved back like right at the start of the pandemic, which meant like we were trapped together basically. So
but that wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
No,
like,
but that'll do a lot for our relationship for sure. Like we got to connect a lot.
Yeah, and we just have a lot of like obviously common interests. So to answer your question, yeah, I think we've always been close.
A little.
Do you guys ever fight while working out? Specifically while working out? Sometimes. I mean, it's just... You're gonna know. It's just like...
It's not ever... We don't fight while working out because we're grown-ups. We will have attitudes, though. So
it's more just like, I'm mad at myself because I can't do something, or I just don't want to be there. And that's like a big thing that I've learned about with cycle syncing too. It's like usually if I'm in that mood, like it's just better for me to go home and like do more restorative things, go on a walk instead, do some yoga, or like just do anything by myself, you know, like it's just that time that I just need to be aware of, like, why am I feeling like this, and what is something that I can do to help me feel a little bit better. So no, I don't think we really fight.
That's
while
based
working
on
out.
like a combination of things for sure, like what happened before we came to the gym and stuff like that, or did we even eat today, is she on her period, is she hangry, because everyone gets hangry, and everyone who has a period knows it gets a lot worse when you're on your period.
So but and then outside of working out, do we ever fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's just because this dumb bitch over here, I'm just kidding.
Excuse me?
I'm just kidding. And that's just because we react quicker than we respond to the situation, and our reactions and our emotions can get the best of us sometimes. But just like everyone, we are actively working on it. We acknowledge this, and
but we also like love each other more than anybody. So
literally, that's my wife.
Yeah, it's kind of toxic then if we fight like that and love each other, but
no, our love is strong.
Yeah. So what created a close connection between you two?
I think
we're just like, I think very family oriented too. Like growing up, we just spent a lot of time with family.
Absolutely. Like we are our number one, go-to is our immediate family. And so, and also we are the only two siblings. I mean, she is my only sibling and I'm her only sibling. So we kind of have no choice but to deal with each other and learn how to deal with each other. Because if you know, in your family unit, you know that you guys flow one way and no other family might understand it, but it happens to be, something you pick up on and you learn, and so do your parents, so did your other siblings and everything. So we kind of just adjusted to each other, I guess. Made a lot of adjustments. And that's how we got closer. What do you think?
I think we also have like a lot of common interests because of the way that we grow up, and we just like a lot of the same things, especially music, especially like outdoor activities.
Yeah. Like we would always be doing things together
very
outside.
Similar people because of obviously we grew up together. So I think that has a really big.
Yeah, totally. Very similar. Not we're very different, but
yeah, for sure.
Very similar, yeah.
Okay, so the next one is, do you guys have any other siblings? So you said we're our only siblings, and that's kind of true just because we grew up with each other. So we have an older half sister. She's from my dad, and I grew up with her a little bit more, but she kind of, I think as she got older, just was more with my dad's side of the family, and so, or my mom or her mom's side of the family, and so we didn't really like see her as much. But she is like my twin. Like if you look at her and me, like we are definitely sisters, even though we only have the same dad. But
so strong genetics on our dad's side,
for sure. Especially that big old forehead.
For sure.
Get it from our dad. But that's like an interesting kind of relationship too. Like I wish that we could be a lot closer to her or have grown up with her. But it's just the way things are, and I'm not like, I think that's one thing about me too, is like I don't regret anything. I don't wish that things were ever really any different. It's just the way that things are, and like I just embrace that, and like it is what it is. So but yeah, let's see, what's something that we have learned from each other?
Well, there's so many. Where do I start? I think that
first thing that comes to mind,
I really like the idea of cycle syncing. Obviously, it's so new to me still, but it's like mind-blowing that this has always existed. None of us knew about this. This has always existed, and it was just for the women. I mean, and it could only benefit us women. So I really think it's awesome that she's learning so much about it and sharing that knowledge with every woman she finds, because it's important to learn about your cycle and about how to treat your body during each of those phases. So I especially like learning about the nutrition that goes with your cycles, your cycle syncing, that not every phase you're not supposed to be eating the same thing, every single day. Obviously we know this, but that each phase has a specific category of things that are better for you, and of a list of things that are especially beneficial to you in those phases. So those things that not a lot of people talk about.
Yeah. I'm still learning about it. It's still something that like you always just keep learning about, and especially when you're applying it to your own life and how it benefits you. So yeah, it's just if you want to just get started with like cycle syncing and just like what that's all about, I can send you a guide, or you can just start by reading the book In the Flow, which is really helpful. It's where I got a lot of my information from. But I'll keep coming out with like more content, more podcast episodes about that, because it's something that I think everyone needs to have a conversation about. I think for me, like something that I've learned from you is like just to be more social. Like when I was like a kid, I was a shy kid. Like I remember like my mom would put me in the like cheer clinic classes for Cibola, like when I was a kid, and I would cry. Like I showed up and I'd cry. Like my friends were in it, like their sisters were cheerleaders, like I knew people there, but I think I just had really bad social anxiety as a kid, and like dancing in front of other people or cheering and stuff, like I just I hated it. And so like my mom would just take me home, but like you're not like that at all. Like you're the you were the kind of kid that would.
I literally was in drama. I performed in the plays. I did not care when I was younger, for sure. That weaseled out of me. I started to care in puberty and all that. I got really shy, but when I was a kid, I loved that stuff.
But I think you didn't lose that much of it, because I think for me, like I feel comfortable being more social when I'm with you too, and yeah,
sure. I mean, it's always,
but I think in general now I am a lot better at being social. Obviously, like I cheered in high school and college, and did a lot to put myself out there. So I think it's also kind of self-taught.
Yeah, you did all that. You did a lot of that.
Oh yeah, that's all me then.
That's all you, girl.
That's all me.
And so yeah, just being social. I mean, when I like I was saying right now, and when I was starting to get older, like in middle school and in high school, like something came over me. Something comes over all of us, right? In middle school and in high school and stuff. But that kind of just got smaller. That piece of me got smaller and smaller, and I wish it didn't, because as a elementary school aide and working with my kids, I'm like, no, stay young forever and just have fun right now, and don't care about those things. Don't act older than you are and stuff. So I feel like I would do that kind of thing when I was growing up, but before that,
no, you stayed a kid while you were a kid. You didn't grow up until like you needed to. And then when you did grow up and you were like a high schooler, that's when we didn't get along, I feel like.
Yeah, and I mean that's also what I was saying. It's just like something came over me that I didn't.
She was mean.
I wasn't mean though. I really, really disagree. I don't think I was mean. I don't think anybody would say that I was mean, but we just didn't see eye to eye as much, I guess, back then. I think back then I saw her as like my second little mom around all the time. I saw her as like my mom, so I was always annoyed of her, and more than just a sister. She was annoyed of her double.
Well, when you're the firstborn daughter,
when you're the young wild one, you got to be young and wild.
Yeah, exactly. So we had different roles in this house. But yeah. So how is having a sister as a fitness and a wellness coach?
Oh, this
First of all, the fact that you think I'm a fitness coach, thank you.
No, she is. No, you are. It's like the jackpot, I feel, because I mean, how many wellness coaches do you know? Like, you cannot count on one hand how many wellness coaches you must know. And I have like one of the greatest, most dedicated, most passionate wellness coaches as my best friend, and my sister, who's, always there to support me, which is the best part, because she's there to support every single one of her clients, not just, her sister. So I feel like having her as a sister is just like I'm immensely grateful that, she chose to help me in the areas I needed help with, because I used to be an athlete, like an active athlete. I played softball during middle school and high school. However, after I graduated high school was like during the pandemic. I graduated during the pandemic, and I kind of gave up on softball completely, and I wish I hadn't. But doing that and giving up on a lot of activity and weightlifting put me back a lot and set me back in my strength. I used to be a lot stronger, And so I'm working toward that again, and she knows this, and she knows this about me. So her also knowing that about me is like, she's an even bigger motivator for me, because she, you know, knows that history about me, and she took the time to also, you know, encourage me in the areas that she knows are hard for me.
Yeah. And I think that like it's helped you in a lot of other ways besides just like your physical health. Like
Absolutely,
you're more motivated in school, like you like enjoy being out more. Like I think like it also, you know, when you like finish school, like you graduate high school during a pandemic, like your sport gets ripped away from you, and like, you know, your life changed, and it was like during a pivotal moment in your life too, when you're transitioning to like adulthood. So like you didn't really, I'm not saying you were lost, but like you weren't in the same boat as like everybody else who graduates high school and like moves on to something. Like you kind of just were figuring some of those things out. And I think like getting back into like doing things for you with exercising and just eating better and like doing more self-care, like you started doing yoga, you started meditating, you started eating
more. I was and I didn't really think about it as much during that time, but in hindsight, I think I was maybe a little bit depressed in that time, graduating during the pandemic, you know, finishing high school during the pandemic with like very little socialization, which I thrived on. I thrived on being a part of a loving team, but when that was taken away, I kind of lost hope, I think. But now I'm like totally out of that hole. I was in a deep hole of that sadness and that loss. So
you just get like stuck. Like you just like start repeating the same thing and not really expecting anything
just
to be
without
different.
any vision. I was just kind of blindly living every day with no real vision or hope, or what's the word I'm looking for? Real inspiration to do anything.
Yeah. Like when you don't really have goals, that's why like goal setting is so important. Like,
So
and
important.
I'm not talking about like losing 20 pounds. Like I'm talking about like, what does losing 20 pounds mean for you? Like, how is your life going to be different now compared to, you know, where you want to be, other than just a number on the scale, you know, and like focusing on those milestones. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thanks. I like that
Little
answer.
steps. Yeah.
What's your most memorable sister memory?
Well, right now that comes to mind is the time that we had this little webcam, and I don't even remember what it's called or anything, but it was one of those little
Logitech webcam.
Was it?
I think so. I don't know.
Something like that. I don't know.
Like
but
we just
it had
had like
lots of effects.
What
like,
year was this? Like
I must have been about 6 years old. I was so small, and you were like 10
or 10, 11.
Yeah, it had to be. And so we would set up in our dining room late at night and just open up the laptop or whatever, have the webcam on, and we'd just start doing the news. We would just start saying, "Hey, y'all."
Because there were filters, so we could have like the world behind us, so we looked like we were like news reporters and stuff.
Or
and
like we turned into aliens.
I wish we still had like those recordings. Like that would be really funny.
Those
but they're lost forever.
That was the start of our original podcast.
Like what we're doing. Yeah, exactly. It's basically what has now turned into a podcast.
We were always meant to have a mic in our hands.
Yeah, we were silly. We were goofy. But that's I love that. Yeah. For
just
me,
reminds me of that for now.
The most memorable sister memory or moment. It's not a good one.
Oh God.
I just remember I'm just thinking of the first thing that comes to mind, honestly.
God, what?
And it just makes me feel bad every time, because I remember one day, because we've always had like quads and stuff, and we live out in the county, so we have like room to just like be out on those things. And we had these like giant trailers that you see them like loading up like boxes of lettuce on, so they're tall and they have the big wheels and stuff. And I remember we were on the quad and that was behind me, and I was like, yeah, let's go under this thing. It's like a fun little obstacle course we could fit. And I didn't tell homegirl to duck, and she didn't duck, and she fucking she bonks her head on the trailer, and I swear to God, like she just goes like She just like kind of leans backward. It hit her hard.
Folded.
She had a big old goose egg
I still
on her
do.
head.
It's right here. Just kidding.
I don't even think you cried.
just
You might
kidding.
have cried, and I was just like, it was just like one of those moments where it's like, shh, don't tell dad, don't tell dad.
Shit, it must have been hard because I do
You
not
don't
remember.
That's why it was so memorable to me. I held on to all that.
How old were we, do you think?
You had short little hair. You were chubby. You were
Always.
probably
Hello.
like 6. Bonk.
Fun AF.
I was like, hold on, but I didn't tell you to hold on.
Oh my god, of course you did. You set me up.
It just makes me feel bad. That's why I feel like it just is a memory that pops up. But there are plenty of great
There's
memories.
so many.
Coachella.
I mean, in adulthood,
Coachella
let's
was
talk
a
about
lot of fun.
Coachella.
That
We
was
went
like one
to
of the best.
Coachella for the first time together, and it was because her boss was selling her a few tickets. Like, well,
I
kinda
just wanted.
scammed her,
I wanted to go, and like I had mentioned it, and then my boss like randomly was like, "Do you want to go to Coachella? Like I have tickets." I was like, "Oh yeah." So I bought them off of her, and then
Coachella's Coachella. We didn't care what kind of tickets they were. We were just trying to go to Coachella.
Yeah, so and then 2 of my other friends went with us, and so we had like a group, and we ended up tent camping, which I don't recommend. I recommend car camping. I thought that was the tickets that we were sold.
I don't regret anything at all. No, but yeah, if you're more of a glamping kind of lifestyle like we are, who are used to like trailitas, cocinas, and everything, a little bed, a shower, but I mean, none of that's really there.
We can do a little story time on Coachella
for
if we
sure.
want.
A car's just the
there
best
was a
way
lot,
to go.
but yeah, car camping is the way to go. It's just, I mean, you still have a tent, but
Yeah.
you at least have your car there.
But the weekend was, an unforgettable weekend. Every single day was so much fun. Just being there with my best friend and like running around wild on our own. It felt so free. So I definitely recommend to
just concerts in general.
anyone.
Like
Yeah.
we love live music.
Love live music. It just turns us on. Just kidding. I just live music.
What? Okay. When did you guys stop snitching on each other?
Oh, let's see. Maybe when you started doing the same shit you were snitching on me for.
Yeah, but that's why I was snitching, because you shouldn't have been doing these things. Like, if I wasn't doing them,
all right.
But I feel like when I was in Tucson, maybe during COVID, like when I had moved back, like we just like had a better connection. And
yeah, I want to say I remember I stayed with you in your apartment during fall break before COVID happened. And it was fun. It was like the first time we had been together
without
on
our
your
parents.
own. Just on our own. And it was her apartment, and I don't think I've even ever been there before.
To Tucson?
To your apartment. Yeah, that apartment in Tucson. I just stayed there for the first time over my fall break, and we just like connected somehow. We were just like, okay, we're like kind of in different phases of our lives. Yeah, and it's like we only have each other. We, gotta have each other's back. It's just when there comes a time when you guys just realize you gotta have each other's back. So we weren't really snitching. I want to say, sorry, you weren't snitching, I don't think, to be a bitch, even though I thought she was snitching to be a bitch when I was a child. Of course I would think that. But you were snitching because you cared about me, you wanted the best for me, all of that. So that's fine. Yeah. I forgive you.
Yeah, it's part of being the firstborn and being the girl. It's not easy. Like, if you are the firstborn girl in your family, or daughter, especially if you're Hispanic, like, there's a lot more pressure on you, and I maybe put that pressure like on you too, to also try to be pa ponerte las pilas un poco.
No, as you should, ma'am, because I la estaba cagando a lot for a little while. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I needed a tunepiado.
Look at you now.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. Everything works out. That's all I'm gonna say.
No regrets. So, did you and your sister ever steal from each other's stuff growing up?
Must have started with me. I probably started stealing stuff, obviously.
Yeah, she little sticky fingers. Just like
started with clothes, obviously. Then makeup, because this girl had her own job. She was getting her own nice palettes, getting her own, nice products. So I would go in there and snatch her shit.
We're the same size now too, because
almost exactly.
Yeah, I'm just built small. I'm petite, so like my clothes are always small. My feet, I'm a size 3, so like all my shoes are small and that never fits in them. But now we can fit into each other's clothes a little bit.
I got my size 6.
Damn.
Bigfoot over here.
Where did you get those jeans from?
I'm a size 6 in shoes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I thought you were asking me for denim jeans. I was like, I'm not talking about denim jeans. I'm a size 2.
Oh.
But I don't know. These are little feet. I was kidding.
Yeah, I'm getting bigger now. Like,
but now, guess who's stealing from who? Guess who's stealing from who?
It's mutual.
It's
girl.
mutual.
It's mutual.
We share a closet, which is
they're our clothes. Which
yeah,
is
we
nice.
go shopping though too, and we'll be like, "Would you wear this? We can buy this. Like we can get this for us." And yeah, that's just our clothes now.
Mm-hmm. But that's really all that we steal. That's all there is to steal, man.
And money. I'm just kidding.
No, that's all there is.
Oh, I thought you were thinking about it a little longer. No, I'm just kidding. No money stolen here.
Okay. So these are now like just other questions about like just us as individuals rather than sisters. So if you could tell yourself if you could tell your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be? Do you want me to go first?
Do you want to go first?
Sure.
You have something? Go ahead.
So I was thinking about this because I obviously like was looking at the questions before, and one of the things that I read in the book In the Flow that I think about a lot is the idea of like when you're ovulating, you release an egg, right? And the egg sits there in the fallopian tube just waiting for the sperm to come to it. It doesn't have to do anything else other than be released and be waiting for that egg. And so she talks about like how during that time, just in general too, like just being the egg, like don't chase after other things, like just be yourself, be there completely and show up authentically, and what's meant for you will come to you. Like, even though that sounds kind of cheesy, it's true, you know? So be the egg. Don't go chasing after something. Don't waste your energy. Just live your true authentic self as your true authentic self, and that's all you need.
For sure. I mean, I wonder like what could I have said to myself? Like what would have made a good enough impact? Because the one thing I would want to say or to like tell myself is that I don't need to worry about anybody else's opinions or anybody else's, you know, what's the word? Or about anyone else's
Like validation?
expectations, I guess, like their expectations, worrying about my own goals and my doing things just for myself, like the reason behind what I was doing. I feel like and during high school I probably was going a lot with the flow of things, not really seeking to, you know, be an individual and learn about myself. I was most definitely going with, you know, peer pressure or just doing what I saw and just being weak to that. So I would probably tell myself that, you know, standing up for yourself is not you being lame, and it's not you being, you know, boring or doing anything. I guess I'm trying to say that I wish I had told myself before how I didn't need to do anything to impress anybody else. The person I should have really been trying to impress was myself, I think is what I'm trying to say, because I was definitely doing a lot of things for other people and not myself. And so doing that now is really liberating.
Damn.
So I feel liberated, y'all.
Well, I feel like a lot of people don't realize that until they're much older. So for you to realize that when you're only 19, I think is a big deal.
And then one thing is also, you know what? Let me tell myself 2 things. Because don't be so hard on yourself. Oh my God. Like, there are enough people who are going to be hard on you. You don't need to beat yourself up, is what I'm saying. I mean, yes, you do need to show up for yourself and to check yourself. Yeah, I'm not saying don't check yourself, but don't beat yourself up over things you can't control, over things that are like somebody else's problem that, you know, have nothing to do with you. It's just out of your control, babe. Just
Yeah.
Let it go.
I feel like that's a lot of like the
Don't hold
conversations
on
that I
to
want to
it.
have too with the podcast is like
Mm-hmm.
how to, because that's has to do a lot with like managing stress and like where a lot of our stress stems from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know that like for my clients that I've like the clients that I remember coaching before or even now, like the ones that have really made like a big breakthrough and like some of their like lifestyle habits have been really around like that, like acceptance of I can't please everybody. I don't need other people's validation. Like I'm doing this for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the only stress that I need. Like I don't need other people
Exactly.
or other, you know, things to be stressing me out.
Yeah, it just adds on unnecessary stress.
For sure.
Good. Another question we had was, what do you guys want to or what made you guys? Oh, girl, that was not highlighted. So,
Oh, this one.
where do your thoughts come from? Are you the observer or are you the thought?
Okay. I like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can answer it.
Okay.
I think that with like practices like meditation, you start to be more of the observer of the thoughts and just more curious about like where those thoughts are coming from. You know, like I think that like stems from like stress too and a lot of things that we worry about, and just like instead of associating yourself with that thing or like attaching yourself to it, you know, like taking almost like a third party perspective and trying to solve it from that point of view instead of putting yourself in it, I think can be really helpful and like a little bit more clear. So I feel like I can definitely be, I think because like also like I'm a Cancer sun, so I can tend to be pretty emotional, or so they say.
No, you are, trust me.
But like I like happy emotions too. Okay.
Oh yeah, like no, yeah, not just negative emotions. No, you definitely feel emotions.
I haven't cried
Let
like
everyone
in a
feel your
while, so
emotions.
that's a win. But like I think with that, like I can tend to just be like I can just tend to attach myself to emotions. Like I'm, you know, like anxious, I'm sad, like whatever the emotion is, like, you know, and then but I know that that is always when I'm feeling that way, that going back to those mindfulness practices and really trying to like get back into my body or get out of my head with like meditation or yoga is really helpful for me to just like move past some of that stuff and not hold on to it. I think you do need to like feel a lot of these things, like you got to go through it to grow through it. But it, yeah, you just have to have like, you know, a balance. Like you're not always going to be like perfect and be like, oh, I'm not attaching myself to this kind of,
right,
you know, stuff, but
right,
it's just all a practice.
Yeah, like which was what I was going to say, is that like I wish, you know, we all want to be the observer. We don't, like, we know that being the thought is wrong. It's not wrong necessarily, okay, because everybody is in that
natural.
mindset.
No,
it's a mindset.
Natural.
Yeah, it's your natural mindset. So starting to become the observer takes practice, like she was saying, and it's not easy. Of course it's not easy. So I tend to struggle, and I a lot of times will identify with my thoughts and my emotions, especially when they get overwhelming. Like I get kind of angry sometimes, and then it shows on the outside a lot in a lot of my behaviors, not just me, you know, having a bad face, but in the way I interact with others. I let it affect me that way. And through meditating and through yoga and through just being mindful and just pausing, journaling, just pausing, or just stopping yourself, catching yourself, or
like it's
just even looking at my tattoo that I got.
Yeah.
Because I have this tattoo on my forearm that's a 4, and it's real pretty, and it's for the 4 agreements that I try to remind myself to follow, which are: don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, be impeccable with your word, and always do your best. So those obviously go into a lot of depth, but those are all like,
that's all you need,
very grounding rules, and I'm feeling like they have helped me stay to the ground and stay, you know, within myself and not lose myself and my emotions and thoughts, because they, as I've explained before, can, you know, take hold of me and they can swallow me up. So I have to be careful not to identify with my thoughts a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's hard, but I think it's just all a practice for sure. Okay, so if you could do anything in the world, what would it be? For me, I feel like I am already doing it. Like, I love being a health coach. Like, I love just being in the world of health and wellness and fitness. And I mean, if I could just like take it a step further, which I am, is just becoming a yoga teacher. Like, my next goal is to probably go to a Spanish speaking country, either Mexico or somewhere else, and get my yoga teaching certification. So that way I can teach yoga in English and Spanish. And like, I think that would be like just amazing to do.
Badass, dude. That would be badass.
Bien perra.
I'd go to that class for sure. Anyway, so I feel if I could do anything, I thought a lot about it, and I feel like the one, you know, my calling is kind of being a mom, I think, and having like little kids to teach, because I want to be a teacher. I've wanted to be a teacher. I want to have kids. Yeah, like I want to have like, I want to see, I think especially after seeing my baby cousin born this past year and watching her grow so freaking fast and so beautifully, it just like, it really ignites that in me, because I do have a passion for teaching children and for working with children, and I kind of have always been able to connect with children and be playful, and so I feel like being a mother is something I would be good at. And obviously I'm not trying to rush or anything, but I just think that like if everything were perfect, ideal, I'd want to have kids to teach, to put out into the world. It doesn't have to be
perfect. I mean,
no,
like,
but I mean basically like if I, you know, had the kind of setting that is ideal for me, like I wouldn't do it now while I'm in school. I wouldn't do it when I'm this young.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like you probably don't need to worry about it now, like, but
yeah, but it's just like if I could do anything, I want to have kids.
You could do anything, and you want to have kids? No.
I guess I want to like have good kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
If I could do anything, I'd want to have.
I want to be a farmer. Like
stuff.
Actually, like just have my farm animals. Used to have goats. Used to have rabbits. And
okay, let me change my answer then, because if I would want to do anything, I'd probably want to be an actor.
I'd be a race car driver.
I'd be an actress for sure. If I could do anything, I'd be an actress and be in all the fun movies.
There's a lot of things that I want to do.
I know,
and I can do.
We can, yeah. I did like drama when I was younger, and that obviously was like something I really, really loved, but I didn't like continue doing it as I grew older. So yeah, I would do that. I would act.
So let's see. What are both of your guys' hobbies? Mine, I love to do yoga. I have a like cute little gazebo in our backyard that I kind of like. What? Did you want to go first?
No.
Oh. No. We have like this gazebo in our backyard that like we've never really used for anything, and so I just like made it into a nice little studio, hung up some lights, added some plants, have a bunch of mats in there, and it's just like a good place for me to always go to and just like practice yoga and reading, playing with my animals, walking, exercising, going to the gym.
Yeah, those are all things we pretty much try to keep doing day to day. Our hobbies together also include, we like to go dooning and the river. We love that kind of action. All year round, there's something for our family to do. Like in the summertime, you'll see us at the river. And in the wintertime, you'll see us at the dunes. Like, that's our thing. So
yeah,
one of our favorite things to do is
especially
travel like
traveling too. Like we don't travel like far really or anything like that, but
we don't stay at home a lot either.
No.
Like we try to go out and adventure as much as we can. And I'm thankful too that our parents are like us in that way too,
that's why we're like this.
Exactly. I was going to fix that, because we're like them because of that, because they try to continuously, you know, take us out like that and show us around. There's more to do than just at home. My hobbies, I would say I really enjoy bowling.
Yeah.
I like bowling, and I haven't done it very much often. I mean, I haven't done it as often recently. But I also enjoy working out, like with
She
my
can
sister.
do the whole spin with her arm.
I'm pretty good. I'm not the greatest. I was taught by a very good player, but not the greatest. It's just really fun. I like to let out my aggression on the ball and just hit those pins. I think that's what it is. Painting. We like to paint sometimes, just when we like to let our creativity flow. And my actually main hobby, I don't even know why I didn't think of this right away. My main hobby is to do makeup. I like to do makeup on myself. I like to do fun designs or fun makeup looks and stuff. And also, I started doing makeup on clients, I think last year, I started doing that and more often. So if you're interested, follow my makeup account. It's Annette's Looks on Instagram. And it's going to be getting bigger.
Nice plug. Let's see. Trying to find a good one. Somebody said height.
Shut up. You know.
It ain't much.
You don't need to know.
What's one experience that's changed your outlook on life?
Just one?
Yeah.
Should I be honest?
No.
One thing that definitely changed my outlook on life was the pandemic. Obviously.
And
I feel
we're
like
just
that's
gonna
a
leave it at
pretty
that.
easy answer.
All right. Now we're just going to get into like some random fun kind of questions. So what's your favorite weird craving?
My favorite, I wouldn't say it's weird, but it's like a fixation kind of. I really, really like popcorn with seasoning. I like go crazy with the seasonings. I do ranch, white cheddar, kettle corn, all three.
I don't think I have any weird cravings at all.
Miss
But-
Healthy over here.
Coffee?
Miss Healthy over
Oh.
here.
I was like, I don't really crave coffee. I just drink coffee. But I maybe like mac and cheese, like when I was a little younger. I don't I don't think I really have any weird cravings now. But when I was a kid,
Protein
I was
bars.
So yeah.
That's my new weird craving is protein bars, literally.
Yeah, this one's really good.
Yeah, non-sponsored, but
This is the one
it is the
one protein bar. It has like 20 grams of protein. This is the cinnamon roll. It's really good.
They have a few different yummy flavors, so that's
had
probably
that.
another one of mine.
But mac and cheese, I think when I was younger, because I was really, really picky when I was a kid, and so my nana would just have no choice but to feed me mac and cheese if I wanted to eat, and that was my favorite. Now I'm just like, sure, I'll eat it. Okay, Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
We used to use
the
Apple
way.
Music. We used to use Apple Music because it's on your phone, so that's what we used.
It's
And
not good enough.
it's not good enough, honestly.
No.
Apple Music, I mean Spotify, it just has great playlists, and
We are also we are the type of people who will have music playing like on the TV in the house all day long rather than watching TV. Like we want just some music going on in the background and stuff. So we like to use the radio little feature on Spotify because it makes good stations, like really good stations. And like we're station people, like put on Maná station.
yeah,
or
we can
put
just
on
jump
Megan Thee
around from like
Stallion
artist
station.
to artist, or just
So,
different
yeah.
genres.
And then
That's what's fun about Coachella, because it
it's-
was so many
yeah.
different genres.
Yeah, in both of those things, Spotify and in Coachella, it shows you artists you probably never heard of, shows you
Mhm.
songs you probably never heard, so you pick up on new music styles and stuff. I love that about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Spotify all the way.
What's your favorite pump playlist? What do you listen to at the gym?
Lately, my playlist has been Spice Girls Radio. Like we were just talking about the stations. Spice Girls is a good one, ladies. It really makes me feel like a woman.
Yeah. It just depends on like what I'm feeling when I'm at the gym. Like the other day, I was listening to like all old Justin Bieber, and that was good.
For that pump,
Yeah.
Baby, baby.
Yes. And and it just depends. Like I'll also just listen to sad stuff. Sometimes that gives me a good pump. Just kidding. I'm just there to work out. I don't know what a pump is.
Yeah, I guess not. I think when we work out harder, a pump playlist might be more necessary. Like when you're in CrossFit, pump music is kind of necessary. Like, you don't want to be listening
I think
to
I zone out sometimes.
Yeah? Or didn't you know? No, because sometimes when the right song comes on, it pushes you a little harder.
Sure. Yeah.
It helps with the flow of things sometimes. It can. Yeah.
Or Megan Thee Stallion. That's a good one.
Always. Oh, this one was... No, I'm not going to.
Favorite lip combo?
Right now I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk lip liner, and then I use the e.l.f. It's like this like berry moisturizing lip balm, and it's I don't even remember what it's called, but the e.l.f. lip products are amazing.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that information.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Thoughts on the 6 new galaxies we found that are older than ours and how they defy our understanding of physics. Let me tell you, I've got a lot to say about this topic.
Say it.
I don't even know where to start.
Well, I don't know much about this.
Just kidding. I really can't tell you anything, but it sounds really interesting. Like, whoever asked that question, maybe I might look into this a little more.
We should have.
6 new galaxies? That's crazy. That definitely defies our understanding of physics. Don't ask me about physics, though.
I don't even have an understanding of physics, so that's crazy that you can defy it.
Yeah.
I did take physics with Mr. Fritz in high school, and it was fun, but that's it.
Nice. Well, sorry I didn't have much more to say about that topic, but okay, this is more of my expertise. So these are more like wellness related topics. So somebody asked how to become dedicated to working out and eating healthier, getting in shape, or tips. Right. My biggest tip would be to hire me as your health coach. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, but
for real,
I think be patient with yourself. Like I always tell my clients to be 1,000% committed to their goals, but be flexible on how to get there. Like your path is probably going to look a little bit different than somebody else's, and like, you know, think really clearly about what your goals are and also specifically what your goals are not. So that way you're not wasting your time, you know, going after something that isn't really what you want. But I think I really do think that like having a coach or just having like that support is really important just to help keep you motivated, help keep you on track and just accountable sometimes too. Like I wish that we could all, you know, even for me, like be accountable to ourselves and only ourselves, because that's really why we're doing this. We shouldn't be doing it for other people. Like that's not a good motivator, but it is helpful to have like other people who are, you know,
more knowledgeable and more experienced with like what you're experiencing, so that you know how to approach things.
Exactly. Like I've coached probably clients who have had similar experiences, you know, that you're going through with your challenges, and I can help you to get through that kind of stuff. So I think, I really actually think that is my biggest tip then, to like just hire me as your coach so we can like work on those things together, because I think that's where a lot of like the meaningful change happens. Like it's great that I give out tips and like I'm always sharing what I do. Like I'm never gatekeeping or like hiding any of my secrets. Like there are no secrets really. It's just the way that I approach things when it comes to, you know, incorporating some of these changes. But
so one thing to become more dedicated is just showing up for yourself. And knowing those reasons, like your goals that you're setting for yourself, and definitely holding yourself accountable, but making your goals like realistic and that.
And then somebody said, what's your opinion on plant-based versus vegan versus mindful eating? So I mean, plant-based and like vegan, I have a client who's vegan, and you know, pretty much everyone that like is my client, they have goals related to weight loss or just like obviously health. And sometimes that means weight loss for them. And in order to do that, like your nutrition is really important. Your exercise modality is really important, and how you fuel yourself for that exercise is important. And protein's always going to be really important. And that's the only thing with a plant-based and a vegan diet, is that you're missing out on opportunities of getting a lot of protein in, but there's ways of getting around it. Like the way that I do it with my client is we obviously have to substitute some of those things, but we focus on a lot of plant-based proteins. And you can do it. It's just you have to know that might be a limitation for that kind of a lifestyle, but as long as you work around those, you should be fine, you know, and like that's where figuring out what your goals are is really important. Like, is your goal to be super jacked and like have all this muscle mass, Or is it more important to you that you are a vegan for whatever reasons you want to be vegan, because of animal welfare or whatever? Like what's really more valuable to you and meaningful in your life? And I think that like helps people to, you know, it makes it a little bit easier to like figure out what your focuses are when you are clear about what your goals are and aren't. So, and then with mindful eating, that's always something that I really focus on a lot with my clients, especially with a lot of people who are like chronic dieters and have had experiences of dieting over and over again and losing the same weight over and over again, or just like feeling frustrated with the misinformation or the lack of information sometimes when it comes to weight loss or health goals. And I think we weren't focusing enough on like just being in touch and in tune with our body and our hunger signals and a lot of the reasons why we're eating in the first place if it's not related to hunger. So like mindful eating is something that I always really try to focus on with my clients, and teaching them about the hunger scale and their hunger cues, and figuring out like if you're not physically hungry, what might be driving you to eat still. And that usually turns into a conversation where we talk about like stress management and self-care and things like that, because food can always be an outlet for these emotions. And for a lot of people, that's their only outlet. And there's nothing wrong with food being your outlet for, stress or boredom or things like that. But if that's your only outlet and it's not helping you to get closer to this life that you want to live, and it's making it worse, then we want to find other outlets, that actually help you. So that's like a big thing that I focus on a lot with my clients. And I think it really like helps a lot of people to like not feel like they have to always like be in control around food, or that food is controlling them. Like it really helps them to kind of like gain that power back. So, but yeah, like I like talking about all those concepts of eating, nutrition and stuff. So, how to become dedicated to working out, eating healthier. Oh no, we already said that one.
So how do I get over my fear of going to the gym, especially when I know I'll see people that I know there?
If somebody, like I get a lot of clients who are like this and they just have like gym anxiety. And so I feel like the question that I would then ask is like, what are you afraid of when you see people? Like, are you just maybe like, you don't want to see them, you don't want them to see you working out because you feel like you're still new at this. And I feel like that's usually what it is for a lot of people. It's like, I don't want to look like I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I don't want to look lost. And honey, like every single person who has been in that gym has been lost before. They're probably lost now. Like nobody in there is perfect. Everyone is on their own journey. Everyone's at a different place, but you cannot expect to get to where you want to be if you don't just go out there and you just embrace the fact that you're not going to know everything. You're going to fail. You're going to be lost. And I think, again, like having a coach or having somebody is going to make that a little bit easier for you. But I'm not saying like that it's, I'm not invalidating like the fact that you feel like that fear of going into the gym, but like what are you mostly afraid of? Like somebody judging you or somebody like having an opinion? Like it doesn't really matter. Like you're in there to better yourself and you're in there for you. You're not doing this for anybody else. And I think that like maybe is something to just remind yourself. It's like, I'm not doing this for them. I'm doing this for me. And I'm better than I was the day before yesterday. Yesterday I didn't know how to do an RDL. Today I do, or whatever it is. Like just focus on your progress, and like ask questions. Like do not be afraid of not knowing all the answers.
I think that definitely what happens to a lot of people is they get into their heads a lot and they expect that when they go to the gym, there's going to be all of these professionals there who are just so intimidating and who are know-it-all. But that, I assure you, is just you imagining the worst, because there are people who have been going to the gym for years and years and who will have their professional like routines,
their notebooks,
yeah. Oh yeah, and who will come up to you sometimes,
tell you what to do.
So there will always be those people who are experts possibly, but they are not going to compare themselves to you. They are not going to say that they have to like are on the same level as you, and you shouldn't be able to compare yourself to them and think that you're at the same level as them. They've been going there a lot longer. They've been in your shoes already. They're past where you are right now. So just probably changing your mindset into thinking that maybe you will become like them one day. And if that's what your goal is, if that's not your goal, then it's not your goal. But not having to worry about that intimidation, because it's all mostly in your head.
And find other ways. Like, it doesn't have to be going to the gym. Like, going to a traditional gym does not have to be what you do, but
Absolutely.
you know, find something else. Maybe you enjoy doing more like group classes and stuff like that. Like, that's, I think, something that I always encourage people, especially like women in their follicular phase. It's always a really good time to like try something new. So that could be a good time for you to like try a completely different, you know, activity that you've never done. Like, I think in the future, I would love to do like go to a jiu-jitsu class, or like learn like Muay Thai or something like that, just to like try something different, you know, because I've always been an athlete, but it's always been like, you know, those kinds of sports versus others. So try something new. Like, that's where you really learn something new about yourself. Are you getting tired, Mika? Okay, we're almost done. Cállate. Okay, ready? Okay, what's your self-care routine? What are some things you do for self-care?
So for self-care, I don't really take care of myself. I wash my face.
You do sometimes. Like, you try. Yoga. You do yoga. You've been meditating. Right?
Just yoga and journaling, I think.
Journaling.
Bring me back to myself. Those are helpful things to, take care of myself. But I think I get overwhelmed with a lot of other things that I don't take enough time to do as much self-care as I should. And it shows.
Yeah. And it's going to look different for everybody too. Like, some things work really well. Like, I know meditation and yoga work well for me, but if that's like not your thing, I think it's just about still finding something that can bring you back into like a flow state, you know, where you are not focusing on what has happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future, what your to-do list is or whatever. You're focused on, you know, the task at hand. And I think that really helps. So it could be journaling, it could be painting, it could be yoga, going for a walk.
And I don't know if this maybe would relate to anybody else, but sometimes self-care can feel selfish. So you might not want to, especially if you're living in a house with your entire family and there's a lot of things to do around the house, taking some time for self-care, you might feel a little bit selfish or ashamed that you are taking this time for yourself. So I feel like that sometimes is my problem, is that I don't think that I'm as important, which is wrong. I definitely am important enough to take time to take care of myself when I need it. But I probably put that off more than I should.
Yeah.
So just maybe you guys should be aware of that. If you guys do relate to that, that's where I am. So I'm trying to take better care of ourselves.
And the more you take care of yourself, the better you're able to take care of other people.
And I'm definitely not mistreating myself. I'm not hurting myself or doing myself any harm. I'm not self-sabotaging myself. I am in a good place that I try to stay balanced, but there are definitely things I could be doing for myself to be helping me thrive better.
Preach. Do looks really matter?
Do looks really fucking matter? No, they do not. You're not going to look at us on this podcast. You're going to listen to us. If you do look at us, it doesn't fucking matter, because it really doesn't matter what obviously it doesn't matter what we look like on the outside. There's more to a person than their looks. There's more to a person than their physique.
Trust me, people could be pieces of shit and look great, you know.
Trust me. People can be very deceiving. Looks are deceiving. Okay, not always, but when we talk about do looks matter, are you asking, do looks matter to everyone, or do looks matter to like you personally? Because if your look matters to you, that's a whole different thing. If your looks matter to you because of the, different reasons, could be you want to look good for yourself, could be you want to look good for someone else, could be you want to look good for a certain date, like a vacation or something like that. That's when you want to know, like, do looks really matter?
I think it's more about like how you feel, because like you could even get, dressed and look good on the outside, but like how do you feel on the inside? Like it could just be to mask all that, right. Or
like what I wasn't trying to say. I wasn't trying to say like that looks matter. I'm not trying to say looks do matter, but how you feel is what it should be about.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, and then last one. So thoughts on high school relationships.
I think that high school is a pretty delicate time for people's lives, and that relationships aren't necessarily bad, but your intentions behind the relationships might be. If you're trying to get into a relationship because everybody else is, or if you're trying to get into a relationship because of looks or status or whatever it might be, then think about how that future is going to look for you. Think about, how that's going to play out for you. What is it? It might feel good now because a lot of high schoolers, are dependent on that instant gratification, or not dependent, but they are very prone to instant dopamine, that they love that. So if that's all you're getting from a relationship, and you can't see something going for you guys in the future, I feel like you should be honest with yourself, definitely. And like if you are having fun, that's great that you're having fun, but definitely check yourself and look out for your future.
I think that part, like, just you're in high school and you have your entire future, and
you're just a young adult who's going to start adulthood. So
I think sometimes, like, when you're in high school too, you think that like this is how things should start working out for you, and like you should have things figured out, especially because you're expected to know what you want to do for the rest of your life, and go to college. But you change, like you are always changing, and it's okay to change. You have permission to change. Like you're under no obligation to be the same person that you were yesterday, and I think it can be hard to do that in like a relationship when you're young, and maybe that's like why like people end their relationships after a while. So there's nothing wrong with that.
So we were just talking about romantic relationships just then, but not all romantic relationships aren't the only ones you need to look out for. I mean, your friendships also are important at this time. Like making good, long-lasting friendships is probably what you should be focusing more on. That's probably what's going to help you transition into adulthood more than just this one person that you're sharing, your time with all the time. So yeah, making relationships isn't what is making relationships in high school is still what you should be doing, but focusing on, the longevity of your relation, not the longevity of your relationship, but the sustainability of your relationship. Just, seeing yourself, with these people,
just
trusting those people, having your people that you trust, building close relationships is probably what you should be focusing more on in that time.
Yeah. But high school is just high school. Like, trust me, there's a whole life after, so have fun with it. So that was all the questions that we had. We had a lot of questions and a lot to say.
Yeah, thank you guys for your questions. Like, all of them are very good. Yeah. And we're glad to see you guys interacting with us, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, I've talked to, like, some people about it and, like, asked them, like, what we should talk about and stuff. And everyone's, like, excited for us and, like, excited to just, like, listen. And, this is just, like, an outlet for us to, like, grow our relationship even more as sisters. And, like, for me to, as a health coach, to just share more of what I feel like is important for people to know and understand about their health and wellness. And I think we, with just like today's episode, we we have mics, we have like my MacBook to record and everything, and we're recording on an iPhone. Like, we have, equipment to help us and to help us get started, but you don't need a lot for whatever your goal is. Like, you just have to know that like the reason that you want to do something is valid and important to you, and you're going to learn so much throughout that journey. So like, I definitely feel like there's going to be a lot of learning to do with this whole like process, but that's not going to hold us back from like doing something like this. So
Right.
But let us know what else you guys want us to talk about. I think we're going to release this episode every week on Fridays. So the first episode will be this one out on April 14th. And then the next day is going to be April 15th. And that'll be Annette's 20th birthday. So make sure you say happy birthday to her.
Woohoo.
And then on Friday, the April 14th too, I'll also be doing a pre-sale for my coaching program. So I'm only going to have a certain number of clients that I'll be taking on, and I wanted to just take everybody on at the same time because I feel like it's a lot easier to coach that way. And I'll have more information on kind of like what that would look like and what the deal would be for the pre-sale. So the pre-sale will only be for 1 week, and then I'll have just a regular sale, and then we'll get started with coaching. So if you have any questions about it, like what coaching is about, like just reach out to me. But I'll also have all that information in the description for the video and for the podcast itself. So I just want to say, thanks for listening or watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, I want to wish everyone a happy Easter's, and hope you guys are had a very good spring break, time to relax. If you guys are in college, heading back now this week, or if you guys have just headed back because we're at the end of the week. Time is messed up for me now, but thank you everyone who listened and who submitted some questions, and thank you guys for continuing to interact with us. We love you guys for following us and for following our journey.
Yeah, well, we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, y'all.
Namaste.
Namaste.